And now, episode 2 of Between the Notes, the Apollo Club podcast, with your host, Phil Hunter, joined again by Apollo Club historian Darren Jackson. Our videographer is Kyle Stumpf.
What do we know about the very, very first groups of men that would sing? About what size group?
It's a good question. I'd have to double check the numbers, but they were in the neighborhood of around 30 to 40 members, for the early Apollo days.
Sure.
And then it continued to grow over time to some of the larger groups were in, I think, the 80s and 90s, where we were over 100 members strong.
Wow.
Working on, I think, almost 120, I think, at one point.
Do you have some examples of, and maybe that would be more appropriate for the programs when we look at those maybe, but what are some of the songs they were singing back then?
That's a good question. Some of the songs that they sang back then were, there were some old sea chanties, but there was a lot of more classical. They tended to do more on the classical side of things back in that era, or old folk tunes in some cases too.
Sure.
But there was a time period also that we had a very distinguished and accomplished, he was composer and arranger by the name of, make sure I get it right here, William Reese Herbert. So he was actually of Welsh descent, and actually a fairly famous Welsh composer arranger, with a lot of different compositions and arrangements to his name. And so he was an accompanist for Apollo for, I believe it was working on around 10 years. He was credited with composing a song called Jolly Fellows, which per one of our earlier programs, it was indicated that it was one of the most well-received, well-known, best male choral songs ever written. At the time.
Wow.
Now, to the best of my knowledge, it has not been sung, for many, many years.
Is it still in the library?
It wasn't, but I was able to track it down. And so I now have a copy of this song that I'm hoping that someday soon we'll be able to actually, so come to one of our concerts soon, and you'll get to hear this song performed. But it was well enough that it was performed, I believe, 6 times at Carnegie Hall. By, unfortunately, not Apollo, but a number of other groups.
Apollo did perform at Carnegie Hall at one point.
We did, yes. In 2014, January 2014, Apollo actually performed at Carnegie Hall, which was just an amazing, opportunity for the group to be able to get back there again.
What are some other early milestones like that, of great places performed, or I know inaugurations, perhaps, that kind of thing. Apollo's been involved with different things like that.
That is very true. So yeah, in the mid-1950s, Apollo actually sang at President Eisenhower's inaugural ball, which was a really fun event. I wasn't there, but some of the members that I rattled off earlier actually were part of the group that actually did perform there for that. And it was, in that era, there was a lot of opportunities that the group had, which were very, very neat. So they had a chance to perform at the, I think it was 1958, at the Brussels World Fair in Belgium.
Wow.
And so, interestingly enough, one of the other organizations that performed from the United States there that year was the University of Illinois Varsity Men's Glee Club, that I also happened to sing in. So again, not in that time period, but it's nice to have that kind of fun connection, to the group. The other things which were really interesting for the group in that time period, it seemed like they were very, very busy in that time period. And they were asked to be part of the soundtrack for Lowell Thomas's Seven Wonders of the World, Cinerama. And so if you go out there, you can actually find some clips of of that, which is just really neat. And we actually have a recording, album of that group of Apollos. It's just a great, just to listen to and just know that that's part of our organization.
Are there any 33 and a thirds or whatever they used to have, or even earlier?
We do. We have 33 and a thirds.
Gramophones.
We have 45s of Apollo. Of course, we've moved on to the cassette tapes. I haven't yet found any 8-tracks, but
it's good to listen to Apollo Club when you're in your truck.
That's right.
Fishing.
That's right.
We won't judge you if you do that. That's
yeah,
fine.
exactly.
Why not?
Yep.
I would.
Yeah, but one of the the things that is the director of Apollo at the time when we were going through this was William McPhail, and so he seemed to really be, perhaps
McPhail sounds like a interesting last name.
It is.
I think I've heard that before.
You have? Okay. Well, there is a McPhail School of Music in Minneapolis, and it happened to be that William McPhail was the founder of the McPhail School of Music.
And so there was an Apollo connection.
Yeah, there definitely is Apollo connection to.
What was he again?
I know you just said. McPhail was the director.
Director.
So, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So William McPhail, director of Apollo.
Yeah.
But there's also other connections with the McPhail School of Music also. So a number of the accompanists were also
sure.
associated with the McPhail School of Music. There were teachers, music teachers that were that were members of Apollo that were also teachers at the McPhail School of Music as well.
Wow.
So so definitely some connections. And if you actually look at, I believe, I think here in one of the old programs, it says here, yes, that our assistant accompanist, Elsie Wolf Campbell, McPhail School, right here. And this is one of our old, then the director, it says, was William McPhail, at the time, and his address, or his location for his office was at McPhail School. Imagine that. And then now, it's just kind of, so our office was located at the McPhail School of Music for a period of time back in this time period. So,
where are some other places that Apollo has historically performed locally?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, locally, Apollo has performed in a number of places, such as we've performed at the Ted Mann Concert Hall. There was for a number of years we were there, as well as at the Orchestra Hall. Was a long standing tradition for Apollo to perform at Orchestra Hall, more in the 80s and 90s, for sure, when we had a much larger group. And that seemed to be something that the populace really, was really focused on at that time. But we've been very blessed to be able to perform at a number of churches, been invited to those, locations as well. And then we've also had opportunities at a number of high schools, which have really beautiful auditoriums that we've been able to perform in as well. So we've really managed to get around to a number of those type of places. The O'Shaughnessy, there on the campus, as another location that we've been, lucky to perform at as well. So just a wide variety. And then coming up as to celebrate our 130th, we'll be now at the Ordway. So please make sure you come check us out there. That will be an exciting concert for sure coming up here on February 28th.
And maybe someday Carnegie Hall again. Why not?
Well, I would love that.
I would like an 8-track recording of that.
Of course.
So speaking of memories,
yeah,
approximately how many people have performed or been members of Apollo Club over these years?
Sure. Well, that's a great question, Phil. When you count up all of the members that have performed with Apollo over, since 1895, we're talking over 2,000 members. 2,000, which is an incredible number. It's hard for me even to fathom that there have been that many.
And many of them were there a long time too. So it's,
right.
Handing off to the people, including maybe their family members and that sort of thing.
Right. I mean, myself, I started in the fall of 2000. So I've now reached my 25 year, which I'm excited about. And as I said earlier, I mean, I'm, just, a fraction of the amount of time that some of these, individuals have been with the group, from 50 to 65 plus years, with the group. So it's just great. But you think about the connections, from people. How did someone become a member of Apollo? Sometimes it was a coworker. I've had a couple of them myself, to someone at church, to someone, that they ran into just randomly, in their daily, lives, to we've even found a number of members at the Minnesota Beer Choir events that we've had. So you never know where you're going to run into someone, but in other cases, it's actually a family member. So we've had, a number of members of the group that have been either fathers and sons or uncles, or other, brothers,
Like the Eustace.
for sure. Eustaces, yes, right. And we have John and Franz, as an, other examples, you've got the Nichols, father son, and the Hamburgs also with the father son connection. So it's great to see the fact that there's this kind of this family connection, just literally a blood connection, but more importantly, it's the music connection that we have. The fact that we all have this passion for music.
This has been Between the Notes, the Apollo Club podcast with your host Phil Hunter and videographer Kyle Stumpf. Today's special guest was Apollo Club historian Darren Jackson. Thanks for joining us.